Clubhouse.
It looks like we're seeing smart walkers well beyond coming into the main show. I guess also to the cast. How are we going to see the cast up their game and deal with the new threat facing them?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think with the walkers, in some ways, it's a throwback to some walkers we saw back in the very, very first season of The Walking Dead, but not everybody ever encountered those walkers. It's almost like it was a variant that just was regional, and anytime there's a change to the rules, that means that our people just need to be that much more on their game, because they're realizing that the methods that they use to survive don't quite work the same way. And so our survivors, being very, very smart, they're going to try to adjust to that, and that'll just be one of many of conflicts that they're dealing with in the final episodes.
In a world beyond ours, I just would say that I co-sign on the word smart for the water. There's something going on there, but I wouldn't put it on jeopardy.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen. I'm in Fox 5. What has been your biggest takeaway from working on this production for as long as you guys have been working on this?
Could you repeat that?
Your biggest takeaway from working on this production?
Biggest takeaway? Well, thank you for signing my name. Thank you for that. I feel like the biggest takeaway from this production throughout, really, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that we have really is our community. And I think the things that we do is for our community, and what keeps us human is also our community, the things that we do for each other. And I think that is what The Walking Dead, the themes that you see throughout the seasons. Whatever the storyline is, it's always about the community. In other words, it's about your family.
Damon Martin, Rewind of the Living Dead. Question for Scott and Angela, but I guess everyone can answer, but so much of serialized storytelling these days is about how you stick the landing. You know, it seems like shows are so largely judged on how you stick the landing. Think of Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, shows like that are judged so harshly on whether they stick the landing. Now your show's a little different because we know we're getting more shows, but how important was it for you to stick the landing with this final season?
I think anytime you are tasked with ending a story, and this is true for any show, I think, everybody wants to stick the landing, but you know, particularly for us, this is something that's been so important to our fans, the community that's stuck with us, and for us too. We are all passionate about this show. We love this show, we love working with each other, and so we want to do it well, do it right. I hope we've done that. You know, I think we've just been working on some of the post-production processes for the finale, which Greg directed. I co-wrote many of this wonderful cast have important parts to play, and I think it's just, I hope that the audience will go along on the ride with us.
I mean, it's definitely a challenge. You know, I mean, other shows that you're talking about, you know, Game of Thrones had what, 5 seasons? Breaking Bad had 6 seasons. I mean, 11 seasons. So our story, we continue to evolve. The story really did change. You know, the exciting thing for me after season 1 is that I'm like, okay, finally everybody else catches up to me and realizes how cool zombies are. I grew up in the George Romero world where Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, that was sort of like my gospel. And you know, Frank Darabont used to say to me that the show was always about survival. He had always wanted to do a zombie apocalypse story. We had talked about something years before The Walking Dead comic book even came out. So it was sort of like a match made in heaven. Frank put the ensemble cast together with Sarah and John and Steven and Melissa and Norman, and you know, the show certainly has evolved since then, but we definitely felt like we had an obligation to make sure that we stuck the landing. And that was very prevalent in our thinking. Everybody, you know, all the actors in the crew, when we were on set, like, we can't screw this up, because all eyes genuinely end up on the last episode. You know, you can talk about Seinfeld, you can talk about MASH, you can talk about all these great shows that we loved. And most of the time, the historical relevance of the show was judged on the last episode. So we really struggled and agonized and buckled in to make sure that it served the fans of the show. You know, there were moments that I shot with each of these people to serve their characters that really went to the heart of the show.
Good question. All right, Jillian from the Nocturnal. Scott, I want to pick your brain for a bit. What was the reason from the Rick movies to now exclusive for AMC Plus?
You sure you don't want to ask another question?
I have to answer.
Well, no, I actually, we're doing the show for AMC Plus. We're doing 6 episodes. It's going to be this epic love story, but that's all I gotta say. That's why I was like, you sure you don't want to ask? I have to. Because I'm a fan, Joe.
I'm a fan too, but I can't wait for it though.
Hello, Derek from the Geekdom Fancast. Lovely to see you all. I wanted to involve all of you, so I'll just ask a simple question. If you could choose to have one character that is deceased to have made it longer, who would it be?
Herschel.
I'm going to say Shane. I loved and hated him more than anybody. And I just love that he could be so right in his way of thinking, and you agreed with him, but you still hated the way he went about it. And I just loved how it didn't matter what scene he was in, it was just so charged. And I would have loved to have worked with Bernthal and wish he'd kind of, I mean, he didn't go that many episodes before I showed up, so that would have been cool. I think the Governor and Herschel too, they went like in the episode or two before I came on the show, and I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to meet David Morrissey and Scott Wilson, and they were gone. So, but definitely Bernthal, Shane.
I'd say Glenn.
That's what I.
Glenn for me too.
We all love him, you know.
But we don't deny him his awesome career
I
record.
know, he's doing very well. Has a movie opening.
Yeah. Actually, there was an armadillo that Norman killed in one episode. I think he should have been on longer.
I think I ate it, right?
Did he? He cooked it and ate it, and I think that armadillo did not get enough.
Yeah,
That was when you got to Alexandria and shot the armadillo.
I destroyed the whole front porch of the house. Armadillo.
Those houses are up for sale now for like $1 million each. In Sonora.
I guess, sorry. I guess for me, it's the little girl in the first episode with the bunny and the doll. I wish she would have lived a little longer.
I'll say Carl.
We had a tug at our hearts.
Come on, Michael, make it good, Michael. What do you got, Michael? Make it good, baby.
I hate being on the spot, you know? Like, character that probably didn't surface, but Mercer and Max's father.
Beth. This, I'm confused. I would say Tyrese. Tyrese and his mighty hammer and his huge muscles and even bigger heart.
Which I think was one of the best episodes we ever.
His going on.
I think it was one of the best
fantastic.
episodes. We get text messages from Chad at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you? But that episode, who wrote that episode, was really, you know, a great opportunity to sort of get into those final moments as to what he was going through, and I think it was.
What's the title of that? Is it What's Happening and What's Going On?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, making that episode, Greg, and Chad, and Stephen, Denai, Andy. When we're in Georgia, I drive past the housing complex that we did it at, which was, you know, a tip to the comic. It was Wiltshire Estates.
Sure.
It was Wiltshire, which Andy was like, what are you talking? Like, he's from, you know, England. He's like, what are you playing at, Scott? But that was just one of the best experiences.
I have a question for you, Scott. I'm just curious. We were just in Hall Beach, which had like 7,000 people in it, right?
Sure.
You had no mask. It's like 50 motherfuckers in the
I guess I'll be playing the role of Dr. Fauci. You know, you got a high ceiling here, but you know, this actually is a.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Subtitles. Subtitles.
I'd like to withdraw the question.
Let's go to the next question.
Nigeria Chambers, Big Old Belt Media. I would love to know everybody's reaction to the news of Rick and Michonne series, seeing their friends Andy and Denai returning to the screen.
We knew already.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there was a conversation that Norman and I had about a year ago when he said, wouldn't it be great if, you know, it's funny because it feels like a long time ago that they left the show. I mean, I guess story-wise, but you know, having been together for so long, and then the story continues. So you know, we all keep in touch, and we all talk all the time. So it was, you know, conversations about the movie, conversations about this, and you know, I remember Norman said one of the most interesting quotes to me one day. He's like, man, you know, like if Rick and Gerald ever got together, he's like, I like being Robin to his Batman. And I love that quote. I thought it was so.
Let's be more of an asshole for Robin.
Yeah. He's more foul-mouthed Robin than we're accustomed to, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think didn't Bernthal get offered Rick at one point? He chose Shane instead. I think for the same reason. Maybe.
I don't know if it was a choice, but he was in the running.
He definitely auditioned for.
Oh, did he?
All right, standing up. Hi, I'm Aaron Prado with Inverse.com. Mr. Nick Terra, my question for you.
Yes.
Over the years, we've randomly had conversations about the different zombie nods that you've thrown in as a fan of Romero and other old school zombie entertainment. It's a two-parter. Do you have a favorite piece that you've thrown in over the years as a nod, and is there any we should be looking out for in these final episodes?
Yeah, there's a couple coming up in the last night. Probably in the premiere, there might be one that might be a little obvious, but it's fun. But you know, it's my way again always to sort of pay tribute to the genre that I love. You know, and I feel like we've done every tribute Walker that we could think of. So we've kind of drifted into other genres in a couple episodes coming up. But it's just, you know, my way of being able to sort of tell the fans that we're on this experience together. Give them little extra little nuggets.
Thank you.
Yeah. You get your steps today, you know.
Hi everyone, my name is Raquel Zemlon. I'm representing the Brazilian fans today. And this question actually comes directly from a fan. I was just wondering to the entire cast, if possible, regarding when it comes to the evolution of your characters from the first episode that you showed up at the show up until now. what's the one thing, the one characteristic that sort of impresses you the most?
I think his honesty. He's very honest. He doesn't really lie to anybody. You know, he says what he means what he says.
For Eugene, I would say his heart and selflessness. I think that obviously when we first meet him, he's a very selfish man. And I think where he is now, he would lay down his life for his friends if it meant that his friends could continue fighting the good fight. And that, to me, is a great evolution for the guy.
Was honesty taken? You already said honesty.
Yeah, you can't say that on the show. Okay. There's only one honest character on the show, so you can't have that.
I would go with Father Gabriel's fervor and resiliency. I think they're kind of a combination. I think he's got a burning desire to do the right thing, by those that he cares about and those that he loves. He's got a burning cauldron in him that will set ablaze anything around him that threatens that. And I think his fervor, his desire to be closer to God and then reject God and accept himself, I think all those kinds of things.
I would probably say Connie's stalwartness. I think she's brave. She's not the kind of woman who would just, tuck her tail and run. She would go back. She does what she believes in. She believes what's right. She supports Daryl, in regards to Lydia, and she goes back into the cave to help Magna. So I think that she believes in what she does and her actions that she takes, and she's willing to face sacrifice for the sake of her community.
I love how Judith always wants to make sure her family's protected, and she always wants to do what's right, even if that means she has to fight for it.
I guess for me, it was his unyielding loyalty to the point where it almost gets him in trouble.
Come on, Michael, make it good.
No pressure, no pressure. He wants to keep people safe, and sometimes that task is a little bigger than what he's expecting, or it may take a different choice to get to create that safety for his loved ones. He's got to be willing to look outside the box for that.
Thank you.
Wow, I saw her look at you as you walked past you.
We all thought it was happening.
We all thought it was all
It's almost halfway. It's almost halfway.
I hope they bring it down to you after. Hi everyone, Kirsten Acuna with Insider. It's so nice to see all of you, not on a Zoom call, like in person for once. So many of my questions have been asked, so I've been sitting here trying to go, what do I ask you guys? With all these spin-offs, Daryl, Isle of the Dead, and now this Michonne and Rick series, has the series finale evolved and changed to roll into these series smoothly? Or was there always an ending you were working towards? And I ask that because I think in 2020 we all thought this series was going to go on for 12, 13 foot, it seemed like it could go on for a while. And we were all shocked, we've spoken about that. Will the ending be one with definitive closure or more open-ended as we head into these spin-offs? I have to imagine it's quite the juggling act with all these shows to come. So I'm sorry, this is, I guess that this is aimed towards Gimple, Ms. Kang, and Greg Nicotero.
Well, we were going off of that assumption that we were continuing to go for a while, and things changed. I feel that it folded into some plans nicely. It folded into some issues because the finale is about completing the Walking Dead story, not setting up spin-offs. There's room for those spin-offs. But full on, the Walking Dead finale concludes the story of this 11 years. And we didn't want the spin-offs to get in the way of that satisfaction. They live together. They live together, I think, very nicely. You know what? I think that completes my answer.
I think that's right. I think the goal is that even if there were no spin-offs, it would feel like there is a closure to the show itself, because the show itself needs its own ending. But, you know, doors are left open, as they so often are in life, and as they were even at the ending of the comic, you know? It's like there's always a story that's continuing once the story that you tell on screen has ended. So that's the spirit.
Which was funny because we didn't even know the comic was ending. I think it was like, oh, that's right. By the way, the comic's over. I think we were on set one day going, huh, it's done, and that's how they ended it. Which was, of course, for us, we were like, yeah, we got the story, and here's where we are at Commonwealth, and then we're like, oh, the comic book's done. We're, whoa. It's interesting. I think they should do a spin-off of the making of the zombie TV series.
Well, I heard about a movie where there's talk about the making of a very special zombie movie. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough.
We'll talk. Yeah, we're gonna do a movie about the making of the Dead.
That's great. Who's starring in this movie?
I think I know a lot of people on this panel. But it's exciting because it's kind of, you know, like the Ed Wood version of like George Romero learning how to, you know, putting the team together.
Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah. Thank you.
By the way, no pressure with this question. That would be fun.
I feel no pressure. I'm Asher Friedberg with the Illuminati. I'm really curious, and this goes for the cast and crew, which character, still alive or dead, or even your own characters, do you feel you connect with the most?
Hard pass.
I'd say Melissa, I'd say Carol, and Rick. Probably the most for obvious reasons, if you want to speak. Yeah, I don't like those. No. I know Connie and Daryl connected quite a bit. Judith, of course, I connected with all these guys, absolutely. Yeah.
Who do we? I'm sorry, I was concentrating on my joke. What was your question? I was like, don't fuck this up. All right,
You landed the joke, though.
Landed the joke. But it was who do we identify with most? Character
Yeah, any character, alive or dead, or it could even be your own.
Dale. I mean, the older I get, the more kind of balanced in my views I become of just like, hey, what's the right thing? What's, you know, how do we make sure I'm doing the right thing?
Oh wait, did I use it?
You could want to change your answer.
Is this who Norman connects with, or who Daryl connects with? Oh shit, sorry. Sorry. Let me think. Dog, maybe.
Dude, I'm sitting right here.
It's not Father Gabriel.
What?
It's not Father Gabriel. You don't connect to being a bold black man.
Neither one of you. Maybe Connie I like, Judith I like, even Mercer I like, but you guys, no, that's it.
What is happening?
I just hate the crossover joke between black and white, but I'm drawn to Judith. I'm drawn to like, you know, what's it like to grow up as a child in a zombie apocalypse and, you know, have all this history of heroism that, you know, rains down on your head, and that the people coming to depend on you for some kind of leadership position, and you're, you know, still dealing with maturing and growing, and you know, your brain's still developing. You know, so I think Judith is a fascinating character that Callie just did an amazing job with, and I think that I could rock that character too.
Well, I'm not sure if I understand your question clearly. Is your question which character resonates the most to me personally?
Yes.
It's a tough question.
So, okay, so please don't get me wrong, but I have to say Connie, because I feel like it is my job as an actor to really connect with the character that I'm portraying. So, of course, I mean, I love the characters on the show, all the characters, but which character do I actually connect with mostly? The one I actually have to play. So I think, you know, what she does becomes mine, and that becomes Connie, and I think as a person, that's who I connect with the most, so Connie.
That was really good. I don't really know. I've only seen seasons 9 and 10, so.
Are you saying you're too young to watch the show?
No, that's not what I'm
too
saying.
young.
I don't know, it's a hard question.
Well, she's an honest character, we'll say that. That's very honest.
From my experience this past season, I think Mercer and Mike connect well with Angel and Kelly. It's a good vibe, you know. Like it's like you share that look on set, and it's like, oh, we go. You know, yeah, the energy, I love it.
Thank you so much.
That was a good question. You did good.
Pressure's off.
Pressure's off. You did good.
My name is Karma Savage with Second Union, and my question is, which one episode of the final episodes of the series do we as an audience need to prepare ourselves emotionally for, and which of these do we choose to help with the preparation? Valium, whiskey, or wine?
Finale,
all three is always good.
It's me. I'd say the finale. Yeah, mix and match is necessary.
But, you know, consult your doctor first.
Cool. Spoken from the doctor.
I realize the reason I'm is I stand in solidarity with all these fine people. Yeah, I thought that would get a much bigger reaction.
I couldn't understand it.
Saved it.
Oh, it's always good when you have to ask for it.
This is going to be our last question.
Oh, wow.
Everyone just shout your question at once.
That's the best one.
Oh, wow.
Hi, I'm Bandy from Nerds and Beyond. My question was, is there a plot or storyline for your character, either the next season or the last season, or in the past, that has happened that you wish happened differently?
This might hurt.
I wish that Father Gabriel and Rosita had gotten together sooner. I think, you know, I think that they're a formidable pair. Yeah, I know, it rankles Josh, because, you know. But whatever. But I think that if they would have gotten together sooner, I think that we could have saved Avi Nash's character some trauma and death. I think, I still think that Abraham would still be alive. He would have, you know, signed off on their reunion. I think a lot of people would still be alive if Father Gabriel and Rosita got together.
I mean, I'm happy with Eugene's art and the stories and stuff, but something, Seth, you and I have talked about over the years back in season 5 when the group had arrived to Alexandria, and this was pulled from the comics. There was a moment.
Inside of the woods, we talk about God.
Yeah, we just have a conversation about the existence of God, and you know, for the things get cut out for time and all that stuff, and so we got cut from the script, and then we actually never shot it, but then we've had like small, tiny versions of that where there might be a moment or two.
Like an echo.
Yeah, and we'll just look at each other and go, this is that conversation and that one grunt that we're giving to each other. But that's something I wish we could have explored, because I think we were both kind of connected to telling that.
I think we're both really looking forward to having more work, quite frankly, and yeah, we weren't getting the opportunity to shine in that regard. However, we were able to shine in other regards in the show, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you all for coming. Are there no other questions for Father Green?
Thank you for listening. This has been an original Pod Clubhouse production. Pod Clubhouse is a podcast network dedicated to encouraging collaboration among podcasters and friends to bring a fresh voice and diverse perspective on a wide array of content. Please visit and leave a comment for us at podclubhouse.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast feeds on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us at Pod Clubhouse. Our DMs are always open, and we'd love to hear from you.
Pod Clubhouse.